If you're the kind of person who always makes sure everyone around you is okay before you check on yourself, this video is going to feel uncomfortably familiar. You've probably wondered at some point why it always seems to be you, why the people who drain you, manipulate you, make you feel small, why they always seem to find you. Out of everyone in the room, out of everyone in their life, they found you. And here's what nobody tells you. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't bad luck. That was a pattern. And once you understand that pattern, everything starts to make sense in a way it never has before. Toxic people are not random in who they choose. Research in social psychology has shown for decades that manipulative personalities, whether they fall on the narcissistic spectrum, the dark triad, or simply carry unhealed wounds they've turned outward, are remarkably skilled at reading people. Not in a conscious, calculated way all the time, but through years of practice, they've developed an almost instinctive radar for one specific type of person, the kind one, the one who feels deeply, the one who gives the benefit of the doubt, the one who, when they sense tension in the room, immediately assumes it might somehow be their fault. Here's the psychological truth that might sting a little. The very qualities that make you a genuinely good person are the same qualities that make you easier to take advantage of. Your empathy, your ability to feel what others feel, creates something called cognitive empathy exploitation. When someone tells you a sob story, even a fabricated one, your nervous system responds as if the pain is real, because for you, it is. You don't sit there calculating whether someone deserves your compassion. You just give it. And toxic people, consciously or not, can feel that openness in you from the very first interaction. One of the biggest psychological levers that gets used against kind people is guilt. And not just ordinary guilt, a very specific weaponized version of it. If you grew up in an environment where keeping the peace meant suppressing your own needs, or where love felt conditional on your behavior, there's a good chance you developed what psychologists call a Fawn response. It's one of the 4 trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And it shows up as this deep, almost automatic urge to smooth things over, to make the other person comfortable, to avoid conflict, even when conflict is exactly what the situation calls for. Toxic people don't create this in you. They simply recognize it's already there, and they lean into it. There's another layer to this that most people never talk about. Kind people often carry a quiet, unspoken fear. The fear that if they stop being good, stop being helpful, stop being available, they'll lose the people they love. That fear is powerful. And toxic individuals are extraordinarily good at using it. They'll alternate between making you feel seen and special, and then pulling that warmth away without explanation. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement, and it's the same psychological mechanism behind gambling addiction. Your brain starts chasing the good moments. You start working harder to get back to that feeling. And all the while, the toxic person in your life is sitting in a position of total control. In the early stages of a toxic relationship, whether romantic, friendship, or even professional, there's usually a phase that feels almost magical. The other person seems to understand you completely. They mirror your values, your humor, your dreams. This process, called mirroring, is documented extensively in research on narcissistic behavior patterns. It creates rapid bonding because your brain interprets being understood as safety. And safety is what kind, empathetic people are often quietly searching for, because they spend so much of their energy holding space for others that finding someone who seems to hold space for them feels rare and precious. By the time the mask slips, the bond is already deep. Here's where it gets painful. When the relationship starts to shift, when the criticism creeps in, when the manipulation becomes clearer, when you start feeling confused and small, kind people don't typically get angry first. They get curious. They start asking themselves what they did wrong. They replay conversations. They wonder if they're being too sensitive. This is called self-referential processing under threat, and it's far more common in high empathy individuals. You turn the lens inward before you ever turn it outward. And the toxic person in your life often knows this and uses your self-reflection as a shield against accountability. Boundaries are something kind people are often told they need and genuinely struggle to build. Not because they're weak, but because of how they were wired, often from childhood. Attachment theory tells us that early relational experiences shape our templates for connection. If your early caregivers taught you, directly or indirectly, that your needs were less important than keeping others happy, then boundary setting in adulthood doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels dangerous, like you're risking the relationship entirely just by saying no. Toxic people can sense that hesitation, and they'll keep pushing exactly where they feel the least resistance. Over time, something deeply unsettling happens. The behavior that once would have shocked you, the mood swings, the criticism, the emotional withdrawal starts to feel normal. Psychologists call this process normalization through exposure. Your baseline shifts. You stop seeing the red flags because they've become the wallpaper of your daily life. And the more normalized it becomes, the harder it is to leave. Not because you don't see it, but because some part of you has started to believe this is just what relationships look like. That's not weakness. That is a very human psychological response to sustained emotional pressure. Here's what I want you to hear clearly. None of this is your fault. Your kindness is not a flaw. Your empathy is not a character defect. Research consistently shows that high empathy individuals score significantly higher on measures of emotional intelligence, relationship satisfaction, and community contribution. The problem was never your heart. The problem was that nobody told you your heart needed protecting. Nobody handed you a manual that said, your openness is a gift, and like any gift, it needs to be given wisely, not automatically. The moment everything starts to change is the moment you stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking what's happening in this dynamic. That shift from self-blame to pattern recognition is genuinely one of the most powerful psychological moves you can make. It's not about becoming cold or suspicious of everyone around you. It's about developing what researchers call selective vulnerability, the ability to remain open and warm as a person while becoming more intentional about who you extend that warmth to and how quickly. Protecting yourself doesn't mean becoming someone you're not. It means learning to pause where you used to rush. It means noticing when your body tightens in someone's presence, because your nervous system often knows before your mind catches up. It means letting time and consistent behavior, not just words or early chemistry, be the real measure of whether someone deserves access to your depth. Kind people don't need to become guarded. They need to become grounded. There's a profound difference between those two things. Understanding why this happens, understanding the psychology behind all of it, is itself a form of protection. Because the moment you see the pattern clearly, it loses some of its power over you. You stop personalizing it. You stop thinking there's something fundamentally wrong with you that invites this. You start to see that toxic people don't target kind people because kind people are easy to fool. They target kind people because kind people have something they genuinely cannot generate on their own: warmth, depth, and real emotional connection. They're drawn to what they lack. And that says everything about them and nothing about your worth. You were never the problem. You were the prize they didn't deserve. And the most powerful thing you can do now, more powerful than any confrontation, any explanation, any attempt to fix them, is to finally, fully start protecting the person in your life who has needed it the longest, yourself. And if you're ready to go even deeper into why certain relationships repeat themselves across your entire life, the next video is going to answer questions you didn't even know you had.